Okay, so this video was initially going to be about something completely different that I also recently got into, which I'll probably make a video on some other day. But I just watched Internecion Cube, and oh my goodness, why does this have to get shelved? For those who have no idea what I just said, Internecion Cube was an animatic web series on YouTube, following a boy named Max who stole a government weapon. A sentient AI with a god complex called IC0N, or Icon, that Max convinced he was her administrator. Written and directed by Liam Vickers, who is definitely known for being the writer and director of Murder Drones. And for those who missed that show, me included, keep in mind that Internecion Cube only has 3 episodes, all of which make up the length of a single Murder Drones episode on average, on top of being indefinitely put on ice because Liam needed to direct his focus on the Murder Drones, which at least got finished. So maybe just think about that every time you wish ND got a season 2. But anyway, moving on from my pettiness, I want to talk about the show before Murder Drones that never really got to be. I'm Smiley, and this is Internecion Cube. The first episode is the shortest, with the 2 following it getting longer and longer, standing at a whopping 2 minutes and 12 seconds, which makes sense when you start to view it as the pilot for the series. I highly recommend you watch it yourself and come back once you finish it because 1, the web series is really cool and you should go see it instead of hearing me rambling about it, especially if you like Murder Drones. 2, like I said, the episodes in total that have been put out are like 22 minutes, so it won't take up too much of your time. And 3, you will come back to my video once you're done. You will like the video. You will subscribe. And you will feed the algorithm gods. Anyway, the animatic starts off with our first protagonist, Max. Some high school boy, just running from US government vehicles on a freaking bike after stealing the dangerous murder cube technology. Wow, we're off to a great start! Max asks Icon for any bright ideas to help with her predicament after his bike gets flung and totaled, and she injects him? With what?
Ow! What the heck was that?
I've injected an explosive compound into your bloodstream. So now when my architects capture you, we'll destroy their facility from the inside out! With the research lost and future generations of my design impossible, I alone will remain god of this world!
Oh. Alright. So Max overrides that bullcrap, much to Icon's dismay, and inputs a command instead to make him a new bike. Something non-destructive, right? She just needs the materials to make it really quick. She destroys the helicopter above and uses it and the people inside it to assemble a bike, which, according to Max in a later episode, sweats in 5th gear, which is, only mildly disturbing. This is where the first episode ends, with the second episode being released a few months after, while also being much longer. 8 minutes. Still pretty short, but much longer than the first. We pick up nowhere near where we left off. We're shown what seems to be a flashback of a newly introduced character, Kiri, who we are introduced as a shy, quiet girl who spends a lot of her time drawing. Oh wait, this is just childhood me, isn't it? Her father Hans brings her to work one Thanksgiving Day to a place in a mountain facility called Refionic Biowaste Management Inc., presumably a lab where Icon and these AI cubes were created. The memories of Kiri are seemingly obstructed, with the faces and names of people being blurred out in a strangely glitchy way. After introducing Kiri to his blurry-faced team, Hans sets her up in the break room with her snacks and what this background detail is claiming to be the worst Capri Sun flavor? What are you? Oh, wait, it's the strawberry kiwi flavor. Never mind, they're totally right. Something happens outside of Kiri's perspective as she's drawing that causes an alarm to go off. We don't get a clear idea what's happening, but oh, great heavens! Yeah, this is probably my favorite visual in the entire show. You'll hear a lot of people say that Liam Vickers isn't a super great writer. However, he has an amazing strength with visuals and storyboarding, especially with horror moments like these. There's no stinger, no jump scare, just this shot and the sound of the alarm. Oh, and it's gone in the next shot. We see that frame. Ugh, it's so cool. A few cubes that look an awful lot like the ones from Icon start dripping into Curie's coloring book. She picks it up, which ends up being a mistake. The small cube welds itself onto her skin and melts the flesh off her hands, inflicting her with something. The Curie of the present day wakes up from the stream with her hands still very much having the skin still on them, but something about this makes it seem like at least some version of her dream in the flashback actually happened. I don't know though. Could just be the way her house looks like it's been abandoned for years, or that her cat looks like that, or the fact that besides the microwave food she gives said cat, the only stuff in her fridge is heart tissue. Could just be me though. And also her first spoken line, and the only thing she says in the episode is just cat. Just something I thought I'd point out. The photos we see in some shots of her house, with everyone except Max being crossed out, implies that Curie has some connections with him. Speaking of which, we cut back to where we left off! Yay! Icon making that bicycle out of helicopter parts and human meat, which I am from now on going to call the biomechanical, either killed or reasonably scared off the rest of their pursuers, which means they're pretty much safe for now. The rest of the episode mostly involves them just talking to each other, while also implying that Max is hiding something from Icon, and why exactly he stole her. He plays off trying to study her and allegedly reverse engineering her body in her sleep as something sexual, which, yeah, Max, that sounds like a much better and totally not weirder thing to say to someone whose hands you were measuring in their sleep. Good job! Max questions why she'd even need to sleep in the first place, and how it would make her vulnerable. Icon answers by explaining she cannot directly harm the administrator, but also returns the question by asking if the administrator wouldn't hurt her, to which Max doesn't respond, and the episode ends there. So, part 3! The longest and last episode being 11 minutes, and released around 3 months later, opens with Max walking in a diner with Icon's cube form. She sets the cube on the table, telling her to wait there and keep an eye out for any agents while he uses the restroom. She stays begrudgingly, and the diner's menu serving eggs and bacon sends us to another flashback. It's a moment between Max and Icon, maybe sometime after episode 2. He expresses how much he misses sunny side up eggs after being on a diet of protein bars for so long. Icon tries to create and synthesize an egg, but she can't do it. Her powers of configuration are limited to mostly mechanical objects. She explains that sheerly organic material is difficult to assimilate, especially if it's something she's never tried before. Max cold-heartedly expresses relief for this, saying that he wouldn't trust eggs made by her anyway. Wow, okay, Max, jeez. However, he does see that Icon is genuinely upset by it and tries to cheer her up by entertaining the idea of getting eggs for her sometime, and how they can be served with bacon and made to look like a face. The attempt to bond over something simple ends on a sour note, with Icon acknowledging how insufficient trying to be friendly with her is, with how she plans to kill him once she has the opportunity. Max brushes it off coldly, and Icon seems to regret it. Because although she probably wouldn't admit it to Max, she actually wanted to try eggs. We clearly see this after the flashback when she decides to assimilate herself a human form so she can order some eggs. So, oh my gosh, why? Cut to Max in the bathroom, who seems to be bleeding himself out. to get the explosive icon injected into him out of his bloodstream, and says something kinda strange here.
No, Max, the origin of all evil definitely isn't manipulating you. Don't pull yourself together. It's not like the whole human race is depending on it.
That's kinda concerning. One spooky moment flashback of what I can only assume is Curie later, and we're back with her at her school! Yay! Her conspiracy classmate Kofi asks her about where Max went, to which she disregards the question, implying she's a part of whatever Max is planning to do with Icon. She ditches class to answer a call from Max. If the photos in Curie's house weren't enough of an indicator, she acts very strangely obsessive over him. She expresses her affection in a way that makes her sound like she's failing at trying to act human. I mean, that's exactly what she's doing. But anyway, Max calls her to tell that he thinks something is wrong with Icon. Curie is annoyed at his doubts, calling Icon the devil and a manipulator. Now, whether or not the origin cube is actually the devil from, the Bible isn't super clear, but according to Max and Curie, she might as well be. Their call reveals that Icon is more than a government weapon that even she doesn't realize. And Max is thrown for a loop by her oblivious nature, surprised by how she bought him being her administrator. The fact that he knew something about Icon that she didn't and deliberately hid that from her sheds light on what he was planning to do with her. Curie brushes off the idea of Icon's ignorance as manipulation against him. She reminds him that this is what they need to eradicate them all, essentially answering Icon's question to Max at the end of the last episode. Okay, so besides that, we have another issue on our hands. Some guy at another table who somehow also has a cube confronts Icon, and you know what? Words can't convey this. Let's just play the clip.
僕はクロー闇の支配者エレメント解放だ
やるわよ兄ちゃん
Curie? I'm gonna have to call you back. Looks like we've got competition.
Ow. What in the fresh weeb hell? はじめましてアイコン
僕と妹は君の仕事の大ファンだ死の子の言わずに一緒に来い
And that is where the series has been left off for nearly the past 5 years. And considering the fact that Liam has gone on to say he's taking a break from creating, it's not going to get its continuation anytime soon, which is kind of sad. It left a lot of questions unanswered. Why does Icon not know what she really is? What exactly happened to Curie? What was Biowaste Management doing with the cubes? What else is Max hiding? What is the origin cube exactly? Was Icon genuinely going to have a change of heart for Max? Was Max going to stab her in the back if that was the case? Why didn't we leave off with the implication that episode 4 was going to become a showman anime? If we aren't going to find out years from now, then we're probably never gonna. It's kind of a bummer, even if I just found out about this series. I can't imagine what other longtime fans of Internecion Cube must feel. But when you start looking at it, you start to realize how this kind of became murder drones. The origin cube is a lot like the absolute solver in a lot of ways. There is a lot of biomechanical horror. There's mystery that some of our main characters are keeping secrets about. There's a threat of the end of the world hanging over everyone's heads. There's a lot of pause to read details with lore or just funny bits. And there's robots with emotional repression. Also, they both just generally have very similar vibes and style. It's the Liam Baker style, I guess. So in the end, we kind of got some kind of finished version of Internecion Cube. I mean, I do wish the actual story got picked up again, but Liam Vickers is on a much-deserved hiatus, and I understand if the story is to stay shelved. But if Liam wants to give the story to someone else, or some fan revivals that I've seen trailers for come to light, there might be some hope for this underrated gem. Anyway, I just wanted to yap about the next thing that's been rotting my brain for the past week. I just feel like more people need to know about Liam Vickers' more underrated work. I hope I did get more people to learn about it. Go watch it if you haven't already. It's peak. And if you already have, let's talk about this show in the comments, because I need someone to talk to about this. While you're doing that, you should probably also subscribe. Leave a like. Check out the other kinds of content I make. And I promise I won't simulate your heart tissue for my battery if you don't. So, I've been Smiley, and I still don't know how to end this.